let's start talking about the kids who aren't ever taught.
Exactly. Welcome to Jersey Mat Chat.
15 years ago, Champion Athletes was established to help athletes perform better through better nutrition. And we do that by creating an individualized nutrition plan for each person that we work with to maximize their body composition and make them feel their best, both in training and in competition. So Champion Athletes offers individualized nutrition programs for each client that we work with. We start off by having them fill out a questionnaire about their eating habits, what they like, what they don't like, and how their family eats, as well as their goals. We go over the questionnaires, we get to know each other, and then we do a body composition analysis where we measure their muscle mass, their body fat, and then we build a customized meal plan just for them. And our meal plans look like menus, so they're easy to follow. They include a grocery list, and they're based around that family's eating habits. And then we support all of our clients through texting. So in between our appointments, which are about every 4 to 6 weeks, our clients text us their weight, let us know how they're feeling, how their energy is, and we make sure they're progressing towards their goals in between each appointment. If you're looking to bring your performance to the next level, you should look at your nutrition, and Champion Athletes would be happy to help you do that.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Coach's Corner here on New Jersey Mat Chat. To my right, we got legendary Gateway coach Jim Rutter. Jim, thanks for coming on.
Pleasure to be here, Doug.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. We're going to chat. So, where do we begin? Tell you what, you begin. How are we going to do this?
I'm one of those guys that grew up back in the 70s, so I'm older than everybody else. I'm 64.
Are you 60? Are you 64?
64. Okay. Wrestling wasn't as big in Gloucester County back in my days. Youth wrestling was just starting out. I never wrestled a day in my life till 5th grade back then in gym classes, you would actually do sports in gym class.
Yes.
And my teacher back then, Mr. Schilling, did a week-long wrestling class. And I was like, dude, I love this, because I went to a Catholic grammar school and it was basketball shoved down your throat till you couldn't stand it anymore. Even though I loved basketball, but I fell in love with it, dabbled with it in intramural. Didn't really wrestle a lot till 8th grade. And in 9th grade, when my parents said, you can go to Deptford High School or you can go to Gloucester Catholic. And I took Deptford High. And I went over there, played football, thought I was going to sign up for basketball till I'm standing at the door and all the point guards are about 6'4", and I'm 5'6" on a good day. Yeah. I said, you know what? I'm glad that Mr. Schilling and my father set me up with a little bit of wrestling, went out, and it's been there ever since.
Deptford High class of what?
Class of 80.
Class of 80.
Yep.
That was, I remember, Joe Hollywood.
I coached him in middle school.
But before him, was Deptford known as a powerhouse? Or?
Not a powerhouse, but always scrappy. He always was like, back then you wrestled 16 matches. We were like 12-4, 13-3 on a real good year. But the real thing was in 1972, which was when I was in 5th grade, Dan Gable won his gold medal, but Jerry Valecco from Deptford won his 2nd state title and got a full ride scholarship to Penn State. Kids from my neighborhood did not do that.
Yeah.
And when him and his brother was an All-American also at Glassboro State High School, I think he was a national Division III champ, they would go jogging by our houses, and it was like Barry Bonds was riding by your house.
That's awesome.
And those guys were great. And I think that's when Deptford started. It had probably like a 10-year run of a good run. Mm-hmm. And then they really went into the dumper for a little while. Yeah. But when Joey got there, he's class 87, they started doing well.
For people who don't know, Gateway is in Westville, New Jersey.
No, Woodbury Heights, actually.
Woodbury Heights.
Woodbury Heights Memorial. My AD loves when I say it. It ain't funny. Gateway High School, it's Woodbury Heights Memorial.
Woodbury, Paulsboro, West Deptford, it's all the Colonial Conference.
And it's a real wrestling area.
Yeah.
You got West Deptford, you got Kingsway.
All small schools the Colonial Conference.
Yeah, well, Kingsway, Williamstown, and Clearview were farmer schools when I was in there. We were in the old Olympic Conference, and Clearview, Williamstown, and Kingsway. Well, Kingsway was in the Tri-County, but Eastern, they were all in the small division. Yeah. We were the biggest school in the Olympic Conference back in the late 70s, early 80s.
Gateway.
Bigger than, no, Deptford.
Oh, Deptford, you're talking about.
Gateway was in this small Olympic Conference, and they were very good. They had Rizzo's brothers, DeGenova brothers. Mark White, he's a little after us. Yeah. Gary Crawford, Hansi and Chico Van Brill. Yes. Robert, they don't call him Chico anymore, but Chico passed away recently. But Gateway was when they started, they were phenomenal because Chuck Williamson was their first head coach. Yeah. And then he went down to Gloucester County College, and what did he coach there for, about 40 years?
Yeah. The assigner for the referees, Jim Brennan.
Yeah, Jimmy Brennan. He's a little older than me, too. Jimmy was a Gateway grad.
Jimmy's older than you?
Yeah. I hope. Yeah.
Damn.
Don't I look a little bit like Paul Newman, maybe?
I didn't think he was that old.
He's a couple years. I think he's class 78.
So what the hell made you get into coaching?
After I got done at Gloucester, I did 2 years at Gloucester County College and was done. It wasn't fun anymore, and I got into the workforce. My father was a mechanic. I had done auto mechanicking all through high school. Never had any intention to be a mechanic of any sort. Ended up being a 40-year mechanic.
That's how it works.
I started meeting guys that were a little younger than me from Deptford, and their younger brothers were playing football and getting ready to play sports at Deptford. And me and my brother and my father had a nice weight room in our double garage. And we just started training guys. And I never had any intentions. I coached 1 year, well, not even a full year, of youth wrestling at Deptford when I was still at Gloucester County. Coached Joey that 1 year. He beat Jason Suter, which Jason Suter only lost 2 matches in his career. And Joey was one at the old Woodbury Christmas tournament. Awesome. And we were going nuts like he had won a world title. But I was just doing that. And I wasn't coaching any sport or anything. I was single. And then when I got married, me and my wife got married in '88. Lived in Pittman for 4 years, then went to Woodbury Heights. And these guys, I took my son down there. My oldest son, he's 5. He's playing micro mini soccer. And these dudes knew I was an athlete and but they're like, yo, why don't you come on out and coach? I'm like, no, I want to cut the apron strings, let my son go out on his own. They pestered me again when T-ball came around that year. I said, you know what? I'm not going to be a head coach, but I'll help. Yeah. And all I did was stand out in the outfield when the ball would fly over the kid's head or he was chewing grass or something like that, and you grab the ball, you kick it in. That summer comes, and we're having some cocktails at a picnic, and this guy, Brian Conley, goes, yo, come on, dude, I need a micro mini. I'm like, dude, I grew up in Deptford. We don't play soccer in Deptford. He goes, all you got to do is make sure the kids are following the ball and going in the right directions. And that's when my coaching career started. Youth soccer in Woodbury Heights.
Interesting.
But then they wrote me in, I became president of the Little League in Woodbury Heights, which I played football, baseball, and wrestle. I knew baseball. I married into a baseball family. My wife's grandfather's actually in the Phillies Hall of Fame.
Really? Granny
Hamner, he's shortstop of the Whiz Kids and all that.
Really?
And my wife's brothers, her father, they all played baseball.
Interesting.
And they're top-notch ball players.
Okay.
But I started coaching baseball, and then Chuck Zeisloff.
Stud.
The middle one.
Oh,
not
okay.
the son yet.
Oh, okay.
The son's still running around.
Okay.
And Chuck, they wanted to start, Greg Bauer had become the head coach at Gateway. His first year, he coached 2 years at Gateway and then shot out to Seneca. And Greg went to a couple of the volunteers, Mark White's father, Ron, and Pete Ryan, who's still on the coaching staff. I think he's been teaching at Gateway for 60 years. Been retired for 10, still teaches every day. Maria Zeisloff, Chuck's wife, said, there's a guy named Jim Rutter. He became the president of Woodbury Heights' Little League. He runs an organized organization and all that. I think he could start a midget program for you, because Greg Bauer said, we got to get one going, or we're going to always, because they were bad when Greg was there.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I don't want to. Dude, I just got done 5 years of being a Little League president, calls at the house, parents.
Not a very rewarding job. Yeah.
No, it didn't take long for him to reel me in. Started the program with my 3 sons, no money. We ended up having 23 kids that year, and we were in the old Gloucester County League at the time. Very, very tough league. And we had a county champ that year. They hadn't had a county champ in 10 years. And I'm like, I want to pump my chest up and say, yeah, it's because of me, but this kid was just a tough kid. He had like an average career, but he was a real good football player. By the second, third year, they were wanting me to come into their high school room. And, hey, can you, we have a guy in here. It was before Hansi Van Brill came back for the second trip. And it was in between Greg. And it was a guy, he had never wrestled in his life. I think he was a lacrosse coach. And I would go when I had a day off or whatever, because I had a union job and working up in Camden. And I would just come in and I would just be rolling around with a couple of the kids that came through the midget program in those 2-3 years. And I guess whatever thing I was sending off or whatever, the people liked it, I guess. I'd like to say I'm fabulous. They call me Mr. Wonderful, but I'm not
What year is
wonderful.
this?
This was like Harry and Danny Zander were both there at the time, and they were studs. I'd say it was Harry's junior year. The parents started coming to me. I would be at the Gateway football game with my boys there.
Well, 06, 07?
It's like, I started the midget program in 99.
Okay.
99, 2000 season. I'd say it was by 01.
Oh, 01.
The fall of 01, 02. And the parents, Bobby Bastine's parents, Harry Zander's parents are coming up to me. I'm like, my wife's pregnant right now. Not really high on the seniority list. Sometimes I get night shift.
Yeah.
Ship pulls in, barge pulls in. I got to work.
Yeah.
And I'm not rich.
Right.
And I got 4 kids. Well, 3 and 1 on the way. A couple years later, my daughter Ava's 2. They said Hansi Van Brill resigned. Pete Ryan, who's been there forever, John Howard was there forever. They came up to me and said, nobody in the building wants this job. Nobody.
Really?
Please do it. I didn't own a suit. I didn't have a resume. The girls that were helping me on my parents club typed up a resume, told me where to go buy a suit, go over, get interviewed. The superintendent, Mrs. Stumpo, she loved my interview. And at the end of my interview, she goes, we can't hire you. You can come on as a volunteer. Chuck Lucas, a math teacher, had just thrown in for it.
Any relation to Bill Lucas by any chance?
I think they're cousins.
Okay.
And Chuck ended up coaching about 7 years there, but I was ticked. I just bought like a $300 suit, put these people, all these people sent letters in that the sack was like that high.
Let me interrupt.
A suit for the interview.
For a wrestling coach interview?
Yeah.
I'm not hiring a guy in a suit. I'm hiring a guy in a hoodie.
I didn't know because I'd never been interviewed in my life.
Fair enough.
Worked on the tractor and trailers for 40 or the top of ships.
Yeah.
And I went in there. The girls were telling me what to do and do it professional. I wanted to be professional, which I am far from professional.
Yeah.
And I was pissed. So didn't think anything of it. Next thing you know, I get a phone call from a guy named Chuck Lucas. Never met the guy. Didn't know him. And he was out to dinner with his wife. He called me, goes, hey, and Chuck's very gruff. Goes, I heard you interviewed for the job. Would you like to come on as a volunteer? I'm like, absolutely. And I did. I came on and I was coaching youth wrestling, the president of the youth wrestling, going to all their meetings, never missed a practice or a match for the high school, and then doing these tournaments on weekends and duels and grapevine stuff. And don't get me wrong, the divorce lawyer was within minutes. My wife's like, are you ever at home? And so I did it 1 year with Chuck. Chuck's assistant was Paul Toppin, and he was leaving. He was going to go to Clearview and coach with Hansi. Hansi had gone over to Clearview. And he goes, I'm done here. I can't coach here anymore. Whatever his reasons were. He goes, throw for the job. So I went in and threw. I figured I'm on the staff. I was there every day. And they gave it to another teacher that was in the building. I'm not in the building. I'm an adjunct coach. And I'll never forget when Hansi resigned, he put in the newspaper down there. He goes, a coach of all high schools should be in the building at all times. I called him right up and told him at least 10 F-bombs. I'm like, dude, the best coaches aren't always in the building. The best coaches are the guys that care.
And you wonder why.
And that's it.
But to touch on that, you wonder why kids transfer schools or go non-public and don't care about their hometown teams. Because like you said, a man of your capabilities and qualifications was not hired in favor of a science teacher, hypothetically, with tenure in the school district.
Yeah.
Kids don't want to wrestle for a guy like that.
I didn't even know, to tell you the truth, because I didn't know all the protocols and stuff.
Yeah.
I've been doing this since 2003, I guess, 4. And I still don't know all the rules when I walk into school. You can't have the back doors open because of, whatever reasons, and got everything. I'm wearing like I don't anymore. I always wear Gateway shirts or a Hassett Jiu-Jitsu shirt. Mm-hmm. My buddy there, and that's coming up with the Williamstown when I met those guys. But I was ticked that and I just said, that's it. And then when that story that I was telling you about earlier, Roy Fenimore, Dan Calhoun had just resigned at Williamstown. School was starting in like a week, and they were really, Fenimore had given Dan that job, and then he resigned for whatever reasons. And I love DC. He's a good guy. One of my favorite coaches to coach against. And I went down there, interviewed in the parking lot with cut-off hoodlum shorts, a tank top that had welding flash all through it, greasy hands, and he hired me on the spot. And I met John Jernigan, who I love too, and these Williamstown kids made me right at home. All Fenimore told me to do is, hey, until wrestling starts, can you come down there and make sure the weight room, none of the kids are getting injured, or, doing whatever. I didn't get paid for it, but I'm like, yeah. And I drove from Camden to Williamstown every day for 4 years. And me and Jern, we hit it off great. Had great kids at that time. Jimmy Hassett, CJ Cobb,
UPenn
Felton
kid.
Goodwin.
Cobb with UPenn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those guys, they made me feel right at home. McGoley's, just good kids. They had a really good program then. And I fell in love with it. And now I was so happy, like when Gateway, Chuck Zeisloff again, Dave Brown, great guys, wanted me to come back to Gateway. And they said, you're going to be the head coach in a year. Chuck's going to retire. Chuck Lucas is going to retire. He ended up staying 2 years. And that ticked me off too, because I'm like, dude, I want to start developing the program.
Yeah.
And, it took them they started bothering me in the summer of 2009. I was like, nah, I love it here at Williamstown. It's awesome. Love Jern, love coaching with him. Pretty much lets me do whatever the heck I want. The kids are great. Facilities are phenomenal. We wrestle a great schedule. Virginia duels, Newton duels. We're going everywhere. And it took a while. My son also got in me. Young Chucky Zeisloff got in me. The dad, Chuck, Dave Brown, he's a god to me. He was Gateway's all-time winningest wrestling coach before I got there. And it took a salesman's job. And when I came back, I had blown my knee out. I had to get my knee replaced. I'm going in there for my second year as an assistant, thinking I'm going to become the head coach. And my knee's blown out. I'm walking with a cane. Had 2 years of surgeries from 2010 to 2012. And I'm like, dude, I have no credentials as a head coach. And they're going to make me a head. But we were down. We were a program that was really down. First year I'm a head coach. The end of the season, we're going to made a beef and beer, going to build some money up. My oldest son breaks his neck up at Temple. He's paralyzed from his neck down.
Jesus.
We've been dealing with that for 14 years. So right before I become a head coach, I blow my knee out, numerous surgeries, knee replacement. The end of my first year as a head coach, my son's paralyzed, not thinking, that's the end of my head coaching career.
Whoa.
That's what I'm thinking. I remember one time we were up at McGee Rehab. My son's up there doing rehab for the whole year. He was up there he got injured in March and didn't come home to Thanksgiving. So we were in Philly every day, except for Hurricane Sandy. That was the year the bridge was shut down, all that. And I asked him, I was up there one time by myself. I said, Jim, is there any way you think I can still coach? Because I had been in the weight room all summer. I would go to the weight room early in the morning, and then I was at McGee Rehab in Center City by noon every day. And we even did some tournaments that summer. I just worked it around the schedule. And he goes, Dad, I want you to coach. And before I start crying, it's been like that ever since. And I always said, and you got to understand, these people from Woodbury Heights, Gateway Youth Wrestling, Gateway High School Wrestling, Woodbury Sports, they raised $30-some thousand for my family. Wow. And every day we would come home from the hospital and there's people from my neighborhood or from wherever building an addition on our house, putting windows in. And
I never knew that, Jim.
I said, I will coach at this school forever until you throw me out.
Wow.
Or whatever. That's why I've had offers to go other places. I'm like, no, I can't do that.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Holy
so
shit.
it's been an adventure. And my wife, she's the best. Because most they would have said no.
Yeah.
And believe me, we have our spats once in a while, but I found a love in my life. And it came later. It came in my mid-30s. And I can't see me doing anything else. I don't want to. They've even asked me, the baseball coach there, come on, you're good baseball. I'm like, no, I'm 100% committed to Gateway Wrestling.
What a story. Now, your son, he's obviously he's paralyzed, and there's no chance of.
Well, I always hope.
Yeah, but there's.
Yeah, no.
And how old was he?
Well, it's 14 years ago, and he's born in 89, so he's 37.
Okay, wow.
So 23, it just turned it. 3 of my 4 kids are born in March.
I never knew that. Wow.
Yeah, I don't want anybody pity parties and all that. So I really don't say the only ones who really know it now, because these kids weren't even born.
Yeah.
I'm coaching kids that are born in 2010. I'm like, when did I get old?
Yeah. Wow.
And it's crazy, but I love it there.
Yeah. Well, what a rally of a small little community like that.
It is. And that's why I came from a big school in a big town. I like coaching at the smaller schools.
I love that.
It's
hats off the Gateway. Seriously, hats off the Gateway. That's that whole community. That's
badass.
Badass.
Awesome people.
Wow. All right. Little jolt
So
there.
you had all that big story.
it's a
That's
little
going to
jolt.
take an hour.
No. That's okay. Okay. So let's talk about your blue collar ethic in the Gateway Wrestling room.
I only know one way, and that's discipline first, dedication. You got to be serious about it. And we don't get that many. The Meninos were phenomenal. The Sparks, Zeislofs, they were great. But I've learned to temper it down a little bit with some of these kids that they'll come in the summer a couple times a week. Like we always have 2-3 practices in the summer. We're doing the Cinnamons and Duels for the second year. I love that because it's just it's earmarked every Monday in July.
Yeah.
So I don't have to worry about football coach has 7-on-7, soccer's got this or that. Hey, on these 4 Mondays, I need you in Cinnamons or at Gateway, and we're running yous up there.
How do you keep the kids in line if you're not in the building? Listen,
I'm there every day.
Teenage boys are knuckleheads.
Oh, they are.
Right.
And
So, but if you're not there at 7 a.m. to the end of practice, who do you rely on to keep those kids?
My captains, but I'm there every day in the weight room religiously. And one of my volunteer assistants is a guy that grew up with me, Tom Marker, retired trooper. And when he was getting ready to retire, he was at one of our matches and we were decent. We were making the playoffs, get knocked out first round. We're getting mauled by Haddonfield. And he comes up to me with his 2 dingaling brothers that grew up across the street from me. He goes, "Yo, Rut, I think your upper weights need some weightlifting." He goes, "I'm retiring in July." And he's a big weightlifter. He's a football player, never wrestled freshman year, but that was it. He goes, Tommy Marker, his name is. I'm throwing a name out there. Good guy. Comes up from Quinton, New Jersey every day. Volunteer, free, in the weight room. Kids every day. Does anything.
Like you drove to Williamstown.
Yeah, but Quinton, New Jersey to Woodbury Heights is about a 55 minute ride. But he's not that I do this for money. Believe me, I used to give some of my volunteers half of my check and stuff. I'm not a rich person. I was a union rate guy, made decent money, but 4 kids, Woodbury Heights isn't cheap to live in.
Yeah.
And this guy, like I said, I didn't do everything. I just surround myself with good people. Got to have good coaches, good assistant
That's the
coaches.
trick.
Everybody knows what assistant starts with. That's what I say.
Yes.
And you got to make wrestling fun. And everybody knows what fun begins with, too, right?
Yeah.
That's my way.
No, it's
But
great.
I'm there in these kids, and I always tell them, first practice, and I'll repeat it during the season. I'm not here for your 4 years in wrestling. I'm here for your life, if you want me to. Now, if you don't want me to, I'll understand, and I'll know right away. I've been a co-best man in one's wrestling wedding. I was at the royal wedding of the Meninos last year. I've been to christenings. I've been invited to all it, and that's what I wanted.
great.
Now, some of it I can't make all the time, but,
Well,
I just want to be a part of these guys' lives and not just through wrestling. And believe me, wrestling is a big part of it, but I'm like, I want you guys to be good fathers and, upstanding citizens out there. And we've had a couple fall through the crack, and that burns me up. It'll burn me up now.
Yeah.
Even if you graduated 15 years ago. I'm like, damn, I did something wrong. That's how I am in a match too. Like if a kid gets pinned real quick or does something, I'm like, damn, I was a shitty coach today. I did something wrong with this kid. And
Well, a small school, you're dealing with, I'm assuming, a lot of multi-sport kids.
yeah, Gateway's actually a Group 1 school. We're a co-op and got to wrestle the Woody and those boys in the playoffs. And that can be not as fun.
Well, it's Woodbury and Gateway, am I correct?
Yeah, and we usually have 2 or 3 Woodbury kids.
Yeah.
And most of the time they're JV that keep us Group 3. But I actually had 2 stars. And I told one of my coaches, I said, you know who the last 3 boys that have made the state tournament are from? Woodbury kids. Cortez, who All-American this year at Ferrum. I got 2 wrestlers there at Ferrum, Joey Toner, and he made the blood round, and Andreas placed 6th.
And we're Woodbury kids?
Yeah. Well, Toner's a Heights kid. His father's my main assistant coach, Joe Toner, great coach. Came from PA. That's why I like that. I like how PA wrestles. Jersey and PA, we're like this.
Listen, Pennsylvania's tougher.
Without a doubt.
They're tough.
And where he came from, he wrestled at Neshaminy. So he's out in that area, Council Rock and all that, top wrestling. Yeah. And I love top wrestling.
I've always said New Jersey has, this is the way I like to sum it up. New Jersey has the thoroughbreds, okay? Pennsylvania's got those, put on the work hat.
Grinders.
clock in,
I call them grinders.
and they'll kick your ass and make you quit.
Yes.
Like that's but the styles complement each other. Jersey trains with PA, PA trains with Jersey. And it's not a coincidence. Jersey and PA, you could argue, are the top 2 states in America.
They are to me.
That's not a coincidence.
No.
It's not a coincidence.
All the time. Like you always get Illinois in there or, so Ohio once in a while, but PA and Jersey are always top 3.
Always.
Since I've been
Year
into
in,
it.
year out.
Yeah.
Yes. So what do you now? Do you have a obviously you're embedded in Gateway. How much say do you have with the schedule? 100%.
100%.
100%.
My AD, Mike DeChico, great guy. He came in. I'll never forget. I made the phone call because he had just become the AD the week that Antonio Menino won a state title. I said, the old AD was here for 14 years, had 0 state titles. You're here for 5 days, and you got a state champion.
You get a free one. Yeah, that's funny.
And he gives me the Colonial Conference schedule, which is, it's a difficult schedule because we got to wrestle 10 matches.
Yeah.
So now you're looking at it now at this type of season coming in, 8 weeks compacted. I got to get 10 dual meets in there, and nobody really wants to do. Haddon Heights has the last 3 or 4 years. Nobody wants to get in a quad with you. And don't get me wrong, I want to wrestle West Effort, Haddonfield, Collingswood, Paulsboro, dual meets. And we got all 4 at home this year.
Oh, okay, nice.
They're big gates for us, and I want that.
Yeah, that's good.
But I'm not going to go ask Paul and Shieldsy and those guys to get in a quad. But you ask the teams that are around our level, hey, let's do a quad and at least knock one of them out.
Yeah.
You know, I just was talking to McConnell from Gloucester to try and do it, but his schedule's real tight too. So we're going to be wrestling. We got one Monday match, and it's Paulsboro, and I hate Monday matches. It's like eating beets.
Yes.
But we do have a couple Fridays, which I don't mind a Friday if we're local or home. The next day we got a Friday match with McConnell, and we're got to go shoot down to Ocean City for a quad, which we do every year. And we polar plunge, Mac and Manco pizzas.
Nice.
It's bonding.
Nice.
You got to bond with these kids.
I agree. Do you have a good grip of New Jersey wrestling as a whole in terms of who you want to schedule, who you'd like to schedule?
Yeah,
wrestle?
This year's going to be tough because of the with the compacted season. And I've over the years, like this year was a good year for us with a lot of freshmen and sophomore. And Ahern, you gave me a good shout out, buddy. We knocked you off the week before, but we couldn't beat Paulsboro.
Yeah,
he did.
Yeah.
But it's going to be hard, and because trying to, ever since they did this district stuff, which that's like eating peas and beets to me, switching every year districts. You knew who you could wrestle, and you knew who was in your district, and you can put them in a quad if they were outside the conference.
Good seedings for seeding purposes.
Yeah. Now every year, I'm trying, buddy.
Cut.
Every year, I got to reschedule stuff, and I like going against the tougher teams. When we had the Meninos, we were shooting up the Toms River North. We were doing the Hawk Classic. It was 15 short conference teams in the Christmas tournament with one team from below Cherry Hill, and it was us. The refs hated us. The fans hated us. The opponents hated us. I loved it up there, though. I thought it was awesome. And that's when the short conference was really going. And you got to take your kids to go get competition. In the off season, when I had Meninos, we were in PA all the time.
Yeah. Let's talk about those twins. They were, Antonio is in probably the most viral scramble wrestling video in the world.
Yeah.
Him and Howard in Atlantic City.
When they put that up there all the time, it's the greatest scramble of all time. I went, no, the year before was the best scramble because Ant won the state title that year over Howard. The next year he lost in overtime in the semis. Don't ask me how that happens. Well, that's a real bad spot with me too.
Howard.
Well, why wasn't Antonio the top seed then? Because he's a returning state champ, undefeated, beat Howard, beat Manchio. They make Manchio because Manchio placed as a sophomore. Ant did not. Ant only placed 2 years. Dante placed 3.
Interesting.
And that used to be fun.
Talking about Manchio from Seneca.
Yeah, Joey. Good kid.
Oh yeah.
I'm not bad mouthing anybody, but when I mention your name, it's just it means you're in my thorn.
Oh no, I get it.
But Ant and Howard possibly should have been in the finals again that year, whether you get there or not, because you still got Petito, you got Manchio, you have a ton of kids. Alvarez was with Dante. Those heartbreaking overtime semifinal losses, and in the States, they'll stick with me the rest of my life.
So the twins, Dante was sick.
Dante got sick his senior year down at Liberty University.
Cancer?
Yep.
Okay. And he's in remission right now?
Yeah. He had the surgery, went through chemo and radiation and all that jazz, rang the bell.
Good.
We don't think anything of it. Actually, me and Antonio are down at the States that year, and he gets a phone call from his parents. Said Dante's back in the hospital. Blood work didn't come back, and the tumor had come back. And whatever his type of cancer is, he cannot have chemo and all that. He has to get the tumor removed.
Okay.
So, yeah, but power on to that
All's
kid.
good.
He's doing good. He just bought his own townhouse, and
Badass.
my buddy's remodeled a bunch in there for him, and he's doing well. He's doing jiu-jitsu, great shape. He's about 130 pounds.
Awesome.
And he's got to start pushing himself away from the dinner table. But he could still go, though, man. He's in there as much as he can because he works in the medical field.
Okay.
But Ant's on our staff as a volunteer, and he's a beast.
That's awesome.
Great kids.
That's awesome. Yeah, they were fun to watch. They were fun. And being an official, very difficult to officiate. Yeah. Very difficult to officiate.
They move.
Yes, they're a lot of fun to watch. And that was so remind me, Antonio won his state title. What year was it?
His junior year, 2017.
Okay. What did that mean? That was your first one.
Yeah.
What did it mean to you?
It meant the world to me because I never thought that would happen at Gateway.
Yeah.
You know, and especially to a guy like me that, you know, I don't toot my own horn or anything like that. I kid around with my buddy Hassett every day, though. He calls me coach of the century. And because I got coach of the year one year in the districts, and he said, you ain't coach of the year, you're coach of the century. So we do that funny on text. But it meant the world to me because it was little Gateway. Gateway had one state champ, Greg Rizzo, in 1981, back in my days. Mm-hmm. Never thought. We were happy when we would win a district or a region title. Yeah. But that year, we had 3 kids win regions, and 3 kids got on the podium down in the States that year. Ant won it. Andrew Solomon took 7th, I think, and Dante took 4th. And it was awesome. And I'm like, we're on the map now, dude. But, you know, those type of kids out of school like Gateway don't fall out of the sky or fall off a tree.
Of course. Do you think the standards, and specifically South Jersey, I was born and raised in South Jersey. Do you think the standards have lowered?
In my opinion, yes.
Been lowered, I should
South
say.
Jersey, we're getting beat up because they do that unofficial scoring, the regions and stuff like that. And I'm a Region 8 guy.
No, they're official scoring.
Yeah, well.
It's official. And there's no unofficial about it.
They don't give you a trophy to
Who
win
cares?
it. Yeah.
What the hell does that mean?
But I've been noticing the last at least 3-4 years, Region 8, we're in last place.
Yeah.
Out of the 8 regions in the state. And that bothers me because I've always been a Region 8 guy. You had Paulsboro, Gammy back in the day, Kingsway, Delsey.
Don't get me started. Van Brill's podcast was last week.
Yeah, I saw John. John's a good kid.
I asked his opinion about in my opinion, and I'm very confident when I say this, the overall decline of South Jersey wrestling.
Yeah.
He had his opinions. I agree with his opinions about the off-season stronghold North Jersey has over South Jersey. I thought he made a great point. Yep. And I support what he says.
Yeah.
I want your opinion on why
Well,
the decline is happening. In general, there's good kids in South Jersey.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong.
there's always good kids.
Yes, but there's
we're
not
just outnumbered.
enough of them. There's not enough of them
I think those
anymore.
parochials up in North Jersey have really, what they've done is they've become a monster team and monster teams with an S. And down here, you got Camden Catholic and St. Augustine, I think, get the best kids locally, you know, and then they become powerhouses, and that weakens the other teams. Okay. And that weakens your partners in the room every day.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because they're more club kids. The club kids are really eating up
Why are they
the
choosing Camden Catholic and St.
because they
Augustine?
medal. They medal in the States.
The school doesn't make you medal.
But the room makes you medal.
Okay.
The coaches, the room, the alumni, which I'm big with alumni, and it's good.
Let me pick your brain here. Do you think? I want your opinion. Do you think? Let's just take every New Jersey state medalist last year. Okay, let's group them all together.
Yeah.
How many of them do you think go to a second practice after their high school practice?
The ones that medal?
Yeah. What
If it
percentage
isn't
do you think?
100%, it's
Okay,
damn
right.
close to it.
So does the room make you go to Atlantic City or medal in Atlantic City?
Certain rooms, like Camden Catholics, is a very tough room. When Petey DePaul was up there, he invited me up there all year round. Well, in season, out of season, I used to go up there, and I'm like, dude, that's why they're that good.
Right.
And they're still that good.
Okay.
But
Does Antonio place in New Jersey without his brother in the room and vice versa? What do you think?
without me, he had the built-in wrestling partner for his whole life.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And
though.
those two were like 2 squirrels
So
with their tails tied
take
together.
them away from each other. Are they New Jersey place winners at Gateway?
I think they are, only because they were that determined and that good of athletes. But
Fair enough.
I don't know if Ant gets to the top of the podium, but he did. You know, that 4-man group we used to have for his last few years, we had Andrew Solomon, Reggie Davis, who did not finish his high school career for reasons, and Timmy Sparks. That 4-man group was probably just as tough as that one I had at Williamstown with C.J. Cobb, Felton Goodwin, Vinny Viseglia, and Zach Cohen. And I honestly believe, in my opinion, That's what you need. If you're in a good group and it's not just you and one other guy, if it's you and a couple, and you're hitting the weight room and you're doing all this stuff when nobody's looking, that's what is most important in my mind. Not when you're, in your high school room or you're in the gym and everybody's wrestling. It's what are you doing when nobody's around, when nobody's watching? And those kids, they were always doing something.
Let's say I was let's say right now, hypothetical, of course. My son's in 8th grade. He is an absolute beast.
Welcome to Gateway.
Well, and I live in Woodbury Heights, and I call Coach Rutter.
Makes it a lot.
And I call Coach Rutter. Listen, Coach, my kid can go to, hypothetically speaking, my kid can go to Malvern. He can go to Blair. He can go anywhere he wants. CBA. Why should I bring him? Why should I stay home and go to Gateway? How you selling that program to me?
The thing I always tell people is I'm not Dan Gable or Cal Sanderson or any of those guys with coaching abilities and techniques and all that. But all I ever tell anybody, and I tell them all, nobody's going to care about your kid more than I will. Yeah. No one. Because I always say family first, school second, I'm third. I'm not fourth, fifth, sixth. I'm third. But I've put my family behind Gateway Wrestling, and I'll be open to say it. My wife's probably, when she sees this, she's going to be like, about time, you jackass, that you said that. But I'll always say, I will do anything. Your kids can work out in my garage.
I know you will.
They're going to do stuff.
But what I'm trying to touch on is why kids, more and more kids, choose to not stay home.
I think a lot of social media has a lot to do with it too, man. It's just like when ESPN came out when I was still in high school, and I loved it when it was tractor pulls and all that crap, arm wrestling matches. Yeah. Now it became a highlight show.
Australian rules football.
Yeah, I loved it.
Crazy.
I don't watch ESPN anymore.
Yeah, me neither.
I just watch a game.
Yeah.
And I'm watching the Eagles game from beginning to end. Yeah. I'm not watching NFL Red Zone like my ding-a-ling sons are doing. Yeah. No, I want to watch a game. Then when the game's over, I'll watch the post-game show, but then I'm done. Yeah. And I think that's what they see. They just see what's on social media. They see what's out there. It's just like movie stars and sports stars. These kids, they see the top of the mountain, but they don't see what's in between the top of the mountain and what's on the ground. They just see highlights, and they're like, CJ actually went to Blair for his first semester.
Cobb?
His first year, yeah. Came back. We had him for 3 matches because he had wrestled like 27 matches in that time. And he missed it being home. Yeah. And it happens, doesn't happen that much. If you're one of those guys like a Joey Melchiori, a Menino type, they're good. They're going to go to the Malvern preps and all that stuff. How I got the Meninos, I still don't. Well, my buddy was there. His wife was their Christian music and art teacher. That's how I got him. He was my old wrestling partner.
But it's proof. Yes, they had each other, but it's proof they went to I know you're a bigger school because of a co-op, but Gateway's a little school.
It's a teeny school.
Right. They went to Gateway and...
Believe me, Woodbury doesn't promote wrestling over there at Woodbury High School. They don't. We've been starting to do one match over there a year, and I love old Woodbury High School's gym. Us and Defford and Woodbury, that was our opening match every year. So I wrestled there twice. We had Paulsboro there a couple of years ago, and it was Paul and Anashevsky and Nikki Marina and half of Paulsboro, Dukas, Gentile, they're all there, and they're like, we haven't been in here in years. And Paul's actually asking because Paul's now an AD again at Paulsboro. And he asked DeChico, our AD, he said, yo, can we do that match again at Woodbury? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And
doesn't Woodbury have like the curved top?
It does. Yeah. The architecture is awesome in that gym.
When I was in high school, we wrestled at Woodbury.
Yeah. Woodbury used to be Paulsboro always was in Gloucester County, but Woodbury was the Mecca back in the 70s and 80s. Every off-season tournament, Christmas youth tournaments were all at Woodbury. When Howie O'Neill was the head coach there, Now look at him. How's he doing? Yeah. Like top of the mountain up there.
I hear you.
At the state tournament, but that's who was Woodbury's head coach when I wrestled in high school.
So what changes is Jim Rutter making in high school wrestling if he was king for the day?
I want to, Ahern touches on it. I like kids wrestling a lot, but these kids that wrestle all year round, they wrestle all year round. I don't like the quads every Saturday. I think they're nuts. It's like doing a tournament without a trophy every weekend. Especially if you're wrestling, sometimes this year, it's going to be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, quad Saturday, 2 practices. That's awful. You got to have practice time. That's when you get better. I'd say there should be a limit on dual meet tournaments and quads. I say 1 dual meet tournament and 2 quads if we're doing a 10-week season. This 8-week season, we do the Hamilton duels. We always do them. I love Dave Moriello. It's a great tournament. Good teams down there, RV, Township. Pennsville, teams, even if they're down a little now, have been quality teams. And we won it 3 times. So we're a quality team there. But, all right, you do a duels tournament. Whatever happened to this Saturday, just have a duel. Just a duel. 6 o'clock at night.
I agree.
Nobody else in town's doing anything.
I agree with you.
Let's do it. And then you go hit little pub afterwards.
Here's, you want my opinion?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to say this very honestly, and I don't give a shit if I offend anyone. Coaches think that fans give a shit if the team wins. Fans come for 2 reasons. They want to see individual matchups.
Yeah.
They're driving there to see this kid wrestle this kid.
Yep.
They come for the environment.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, a coach is not going to be fired because he lost to Gateway. He's not going to be fired if he lost to whatever. Give the fans what they want first and foremost. The coaches have lost they've lost reality. They're too worried about padding their own records, their own dual win records. No one cares.
Yep.
Nobody cares. It's good to have a competitive coach. But if I'm getting in my car on a Saturday night and I'm driving a half hour to Gateway, and if I want to see, and I'm going to use these just names loosely, I want to see Menino wrestle
Joey Manchio.
And if that match doesn't happen, I'm giving you the finger on the way out the gym.
And I'm pissed. Because that's the other thing. The worst thing, 12 weight classes or less.
Ridiculous.
14 weight classes is a mess. I'm tired of forfeits.
Ridiculous.
Some of my kids get 8, 9 forfeits a year, and I'm just like, I hate that. And I'm not going to say, I ran maybe in my 15 years of wrestling as a head coaching, I've probably shifted away twice maybe, only because of a kid that was just going to get slaughtered, or he's coming off an injury, or I needed it to win that dual meet that time to get us in the play.
Here's my theory too. Juggle your lineups in groups and sectionals.
Yeah.
To keep, to make, is Jim Rutter, I don't know what you're going to do. Again, if I'm coming to watch a match, let's face it, if there's nobody in the gym, the match never happened other than a box score on track wrestling.
Yep.
Everyone talks about growing the sport. No one's serious about it, because if you want to grow the sport, you're going to give the fans what they want.
Yeah.
You're going to give that matchup. You're going to protect the region seed. Are you serious? I guess I understand why coaches do it, but as a wrestling purist and as a wrestling fan, I hate the coaches do it. It's stupid. What are you doing to your wrestler? You're telling him, guess what? I don't think you can beat this kid. And they're going to, real quick though, they're going to mask that by saying, oh, I want to win the duel. No, you don't think your kid can beat that kid. And that's the truth.
When we wrestled Seneca in the group semifinals at Gateway that year, I got it on film too, because my buddy was filming it. Antonio and Joey wrestled.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. And that's what got Ant the high seed, and that was the United States.
Kudos.
I want to see that match.
Kudos, yes.
I want to see that sitting on the bench. I want to see that.
Absolutely. Who doesn't want to see that?
See, I grew up in the right era. There was still riding time in high school. There was only 12 minutes. I still think an odd number should be it, so you don't have to go through all this hairy high school criteria crap to see who wins a dual meet.
Listen, they just...
Less weight classes and...
They complicate things.
Yeah.
And there's no reason to do it. And I'm glad I vented, because it pisses me off. I finally sit with someone that I feel like I can talk to and vent, because I think you get what I'm saying, and I think you agree with what I'm saying. This sport...
I love the sport, and I want to watch good sports. I don't want to go... I even told the kids when we first started, and we weren't a good team, and we're wrestling, and like I said, I don't want to say anybody's names. We're wrestling in a gym that they're not a competitive team, and we're not.
Right.
10 people in the gym. Then we happened to wrestle over at Paulsboro, and even though we got beat, I'm like, dude, the next day at practice, I'm like, which gym do you want to wrestle in? Every dual meet. I want to wrestle there, even if we're getting our asses kicked.
Yeah.
I want to wrestle and put on a show. Maybe you might be that guy that wins.
I hear you.
And be the big guy.
I hear you.
Yes.
We're from a program where it's not uncommon to have 1,800 people in the gym, whatever it holds, 1,600. We're from a conference where wrestling is enormous in New Jersey. Does the ducking go on? And the kids don't duck, the coaches do. Yes. Not as common as around these neck of the woods. But it just bothers me. It just bothers me how I think coaches take their own selfishness and they put that in front of what truly grows the sport.
Yeah.
Just, how can we change that?
I think...
How are you changing that? Do you talk to coaches before duel and say, let's make this duel happen? This particular match?
Especially coaches that I've known for a long time, and we got, you know, relationships and stuff like that. And we'll talk before and after, but the main thing is get less weight classes, because then you can't duck and dodge.
Yeah.
You got to wrestle. I wrestled all my careers, and I never got one forfeit. And there was 12 weight classes back then.
It's just
never
absurd.
received a forfeit. I can't stand it. And you even hear it in like when we had the Meninos and all that and those guys, and we had really good teams, 25-2, wrestling everybody. If they weren't getting a match, you heard the parents in the stands like, oh, like that.
It's terrible.
It's entertainment, man.
It's terrible. I just, again, I hate, and I almost dismiss it when, say, you see it on the internet all the time. Let's grow the sport.
Yeah.
Nobody is serious about doing that.
Well,
Nobody's serious about
the
doing
first start should be get less weight classes. That's number one, and then go from there.
Yeah.
And, let's hope and pray that could happen one day. But every year they keep saying, because who was the state a couple of years ago that went down? Was it PA or somebody went down to 13? I'm like, yes, let's do this, and they didn't do it.
Yeah, I don't think it was.
It was somebody.
Might have been
Somebody
Ohio. I
went
think it was Ohio.
Somebody went down to 13, and I was like, yeah, I hope it's coming, and it didn't.
I ask you the same question I asked Aher. The current PowerPoint system, keep it, tweak it, or scrap it?
I'm a firm believer in you'll get PowerPoints if you've wrestled the tough teams.
You'll get PowerPoints if you wrestle shitty teams.
Yeah, true. And believe me, we got them on there because some of them are in your conference and all that. But I don't know, because they change it, and then you get used to one, and they change it, and then they change it again, and you're just like, I wish they'd scrap it all, personally. Start over.
Well, coaches, I've never really looked at it this way. Other coaches do, and they could be right, but was the season was longer last year than it's ever been.
Yeah.
Did that have that much impact on the PowerPoints? Because I never really gave that a lot of thought.
I'm still shocked to death, and I love Greg Bauer to death. How Delsey was jumped by Seneca, I have no clue.
I don't know.
When they went out and wrestled Southern and gave him a great match, and Seneca was off that weekend.
Bricking
How's that happen?
was sat right where you are, and he said that we were glad not to take a bus ride to Southern, but
Yeah.
Southern should not have gotten on a bus.
No, they should have been the home team.
Delsey should not have gotten on a bus.
It's crazy.
It's now this year with the shortened season.
I think it's going to be different this year because now you're compacted. And tell you the truth, I haven't even looked at the cutoff date, when the cutoff date is.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I have no clue because everything changes. I don't know when the 30 match limit. I'm just like, right now, I know where my conference matches are, and I'm just trying. We always do Hamilton Duels first weekend, and then we go to Ocean City. I always like putting the big teams on ours, Group 4 and Group 5 teams. I always look at us as Group 1, whether we're co-op 3 or not. Eastern, Williamstown, Ocean City, Egg Harbor Township. And these teams were strong at one time. Cherry Hill West. I want that because they're going to have a lot of JV kids too. Yeah. And that's what's ruining the sport. No JV match. Well, we're doing 1-1-1s, 2-1-1s in JV.
Yeah.
When we wrestled West Deptford and Collingswood this year, we had 32 JV matches. Wow. And I'm like, that's great. But when I wrestled, there was 12 JV matches, and the kids that weren't in the JV lineup or the varsity line, you're in the stands.
What do you think about the non-publics getting a committee to see their bracket, but the publics just we're peasants. Just get the breads and shut up. Enjoy the circus. Why do you think that happens?
I think it's because they must have some power in North Jersey up on the top of the list.
Well, you mean they're literally greasing people money? I don't
know about that, but I just mean they got the studs, and their parents are paying a lot of money probably, unless you're getting some help. And that was the thing that I always read was the Shore Conference was knocking themselves out of the regions, and the parochials were knocking themselves out up in North Jersey, and that was the reason that they started switching the districts.
No,
I'm
talking groups and sectionals.
Oh,
the non-publics. They get their
oh, yeah. Well, you get the small group, the big group, right?
Well, yeah, but they're seated by committee. We're seated by PowerPoints.
Yeah.
Why do you think
I never knew that.
Now you know.
Yeah, I learned something new every day, buddy.
There you go. So why do you think that happens?
I don't know. I never knew that. I thought it went by group. Like the bigger schools are in group A.
Non-publics have a committee. This is how we're going to see non-public A. They get together, which makes sense. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. As long as you got the right people in that committee.
No, it always works out the way it should be. So their PowerPoints are irrelevant. They don't care.
Damn, I never knew that. I thought they got ranked.
Nope.
Group B is always Camden Catholic and back in the day, and then Group A is St. Augie.
Well, they are, but what I mean is they're seated by a committee.
Yeah,
they're seated.
I understand.
Where you're seated by PowerPoints only.
Well, back in the day when I wrestled, it was seated by committee pretty much. They said that the old seating meetings used to take 3-4 hours at night.
They got them right, though, 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah. Nowadays, you go in there now with You try and get head-to-head matchups with everybody because that's the only way you're going to get seeded decent because it goes by that point system.
The Atlantic City individual state tournament was seeded with a piece of paper and a pencil.
Yeah.
With no computers.
Yep.
And guess what? By vote. And it was by vote. They had a little bit of criteria, and the brackets were pretty much on the money.
Yeah.
Year in and year out, right?
Yeah, and you're always going to have an upset here or there.
Right. But since somebody must have gotten sued. I don't know. But in order now for these seeds to make any sense today, it's stupid.
Well, like I said, with that
It's just
Menino
stupid.
seeding his senior year, he was undefeated, returned to state champ, had beaten Joey at the end of their junior year.
Yeah.
And he's not seeded number 1. And I remember arguing with Steve Anishevsky on a cell phone.
Yeah.
See, like I said, I've been a district rep. I'm vice president. I think that was made for me. Dave Smith just needed my help, I guess, at meetings of the region and stuff like that. But I'm just a coach. And I'm not big on the upper echelon, those guys that get paid the big bucks and all that stuff. I like being where I'm at too.
I think, listen, I respect what the NJSIA has to deal with.
Yeah.
Ultimately. They're simply a governing body, in my personal opinion, that isn't needed.
No.
If you want to get real technical, how are they needed to how are they needed to have a tournament? The schools host the tournaments, right?
Yeah.
The schools hire the officials. They could, in theory, hire the officials. Yep. They just get in the way. They just have these silly rules and silly guidelines and make North Jersey more political than South Jersey. And their realignments don't make any sense. Their PowerPoint system doesn't make any sense. No one wants to stand up and try to do something in a very civil way. Like, I want guys on here, I want coaches on here to speak their minds. Maybe when enough people say something's got to change, then something will change.
Or there's that old saying, right? Crap runs downhill.
Shit runs downhill. I'll say the shit word. Shit runs downhill.
I didn't get in trouble there.
Yeah.
It runs downhill. And I think when some people and I'm not saying it because I don't want anybody up my rear end, certain people get in certain positions, they forget about where they came from. I've always lived by that creed too. Remember the people on the way up because you're going to meet them on the way down.
I agree. It's just when things were working out perfectly up until, let's just call it the mid-90s, some genius said, let's change everything.
That super region
because
stuff
one
was crazy.
kid got upset in this one tournament. I'm telling you, it had to have been a lawsuit. It's some kind of a lawsuit.
It's got to be the perfect person.
Let's change everything because this kid lost when he shouldn't have lost.
I remember it getting a little crazy when they put that super region stuff in, late 90s, early 2000s?
Well, that was just to save rent on board in Atlantic City. That's all that was.
But that's when it seemed like stuff was starting to happen and get goofy. But
super regions were the dumbest thing.
And they did it a couple years ago when we had the COVID. It was a vote, and we only got one kid in there, and he was a freshman. He happened to upset somebody, and they voted him in. We had 3 other kids that should have been in there.
Well, going back to the when South Jersey was stacked traditionally, it was in the super region era. So South Region 7 and 8 were knocking each other off.
We had 9 state champs at one time.
But they were knocking each other off in the super regions. You get to Atlantic City.
Yeah.
You half the studs or not half the studs, but quite a few kids are not even in Atlantic City because they got beat up by a Region 7 guy, or a Region 7 guy got beat up by a Region 8 guy.
It used to be.
South Jersey always tends to get screwed one way or the other.
And I think Johnny hit on that a couple weeks ago when he said that there's just way more people up there than down here.
Yeah.
And I always had that saying too. And that's how goofy I was and all that stuff. And I always have my quirky ways. I always said North Jersey starts at Cherry Hill and goes north. I was that bad. Because back in my days, Deffert was a pig farm town. Landfills and pig farms, that's all we said it was ever in Deffert. But yeah, it's crazy with that stuff.
Well, Jim, the good news and bad news is I could talk to you for
hours.
3 hours.
Easily. And I can talk for 3 hours.
I know, I hear you. But I tell you what. No, good.
My wife will say that. She goes, "Oh my God, are they going to have enough tape?"
I tell you what, though, there's a lot of things yet to be discussed. But we got to figure out a way to. We're going to do a roundtable in Barnegat. We got Mike Ahern, Billy Ward, Coach Mike Lamb, and Gary Wade. They're going to sit around and they're going to discuss things, rules, whatever. We're going to have another one after that, and I want you to be a part of that one.
I'd absolutely.
Yeah, that will be good.
Love to do it.
It's just a generalized conversation about wrestling, the state of wrestling, goods to bads, what can be changed.
It's still a great sport.
It is.
The best sport, in my opinion. Made me a man.
I'm not panicking. but it's getting a little soft.
Yeah, well,
Getting a little soft.
I think if you get the less weight classes, that'll be the first start. That'll be putting the key in the
or stop
ignition.
trying to schedule 39 duels so your kid gets 100 wins.
Yeah, that too.
We can start with that too.
Yep.
Because that record, what's your opinion on 100 wins, honestly?
Well, don't get me wrong. We still get the banner for the kid and all that stuff.
that's a
But
given.
dude, these kids are winning. I mean, the Meninos, what's crazy is identical twins, identical career records. 158 and 8.
Are you serious?
Both of them. Yep.
I didn't know that.
That 158 wins though, and add the 8 losses, they were over 165 matches.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I think I wrestled in my total career in high school like 70, maybe.
They're the exception. They're elite. I'm talking about, and I want your honest opinion.
believe me.
What do you think about the kid? And I say this respectfully.
Yeah.
A kid who's never gotten out of regions, holding up a 100-win banner. What does that
Wins
banner
25
mean?
matches.
What does that banner mean?
To
In
me,
your
it's
opinion.
it's empty, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And believe me, we've had to hand a few out.
Yeah.
Kids, they don't win a district title, they don't get the region, they don't place, but you got like, even at the 30 match limit, you had some playoff matches, 1 or 2, or you can add some more quads and all that. Before you even get the districts, you probably got almost 40 matches.
Yeah.
And you win 25 of them 4 times, you got 100 wins.
We've had kids on here, and this is why I love what we do, because kids are here and they're honest. Kids are honest. They tell you, matter-of-factly things. And we've had a couple kids say that, we wrestle a lot of matches so some kids can get 100 wins. Cool. That's whatever. If you miss a year, maybe your freshman year, you get hurt. Okay,
Yeah.
I can see the justification in that. But
Yep.
I'm seeing teams wrestle 36 duels, 37 duels. That is absolute. That's what I mean by getting soft. The standard is dropped. 100 wins. Don't print the banner anymore. Just stop.
Yeah.
Raise it to 125. Do something.
Like I'm part of the executive board with the South Jersey Coaches and Referees Association. They give out plaques for 125 or more. They just give you a certificate for 100 now.
Good.
And
That's a step in the right direction. Yeah.
And they've been doing that. I've been on that committee, been a head coach 15 years. I've probably been on that committee about 13 years. And they've been doing it pretty much all 13 years.
Yeah.
They know. And it's not to slight any kid because, some of them.
It's not, but the standard, raise the
Yeah.
bars. That's what I mean about the sport. It's time to raise the bar. It's like still making minimum wage. Okay. At some point, you got to make a little bit more money. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And at some point, these banners have to start getting printed with 125 on them.
Okay.
When we're wrestling 45 matches a year.
Yeah.
That's all I'm trying to say. But we're still stuck in 100 wins is a milestone.
I know.
People can think so, and that's fine. I don't think it is.
No. And back
just
in the
don't think
day,
it is.
like when I wrestled, there was 16 dual meets. I think it was Carmel Marina, Joey Melchiori, Bill Dykeman. That was it in South Jersey that had 100 wins.
Mike Lamb did. He had 100
Well,
exactly.
Mike was with Joey,
Sure,
but
yeah,
like
yeah.
in my years, it was just Carmel Marina.
I know. That's what I'm
And
saying.
Dykeman did it my senior year. He had 100 right on the
It
button.
was a milestone.
But he won 2 state titles to do it.
I know.
And that was saying something.
Yes.
And then when Joey won 125, we're like, that'll never be touched.
No. Then Lynch broke it.
Yeah.
And et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Wild stuff.
It is wild stuff. And I don't know if you're getting ready to cut me off, but Mikey touched on that a couple weeks ago. Get rid of 5 groups. I think that's crazy.
Agreed. It's only
4
football
groups.
and wrestling that has it.
Yeah, and I don't know why the hell we
I don't
got
know
it.
either.
I know probably football started
We
it.
know why.
Yeah.
It's money. It's more money. The more teams that can enter, each school has to pay for their team to enter the playoffs. It's more revenue.
Yeah.
It's the only reason why they do it.
It's crazy.
It's stupid. It's beyond absurd. Get it to 4 groups.
Yeah, 4 groups, and it
makes
used to
all
be
the groups
6.
a little bit better.
It's the top 2 would get buys, and then 3 would wrestle 6, and 4 would
tightens up
wrestle
now.
5.
It tightens up.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
I would go back to that in a heartbeat.
100%. I would support that if it ever goes to a vote. I love it. Jim.
Doug, thank you for having me.
I
Thank
appreciate you.
Yep.
Jim Rutter, Gateway.
Attention, wrestling fans, parents, and future state champs. This is your podcast. We're shining a light on the toughest high school New Jersey wrestlers and coaches who are building warriors one takedown at a time. Follow us, like, and subscribe on your favorite platform. Doesn't cost you anything, but it goes a long way to support the show. Don't just watch the journey, be part of it.